Hello, and today I'm going to go ahead and be doing a 2-year update video for you guys on the Mora Garberg. Now, like I said in my original video, this is not my personal knife. This knife belongs to my brother, but he has put a decent amount of use on it over the last couple of years, so I think that it is a pretty, a good time to go ahead and give you guys a good idea of how it's held up over that period of time. So basically, I've looked over the knife. I've talked to him about it and how it's held up and how things have gone for him. So I have a pretty good idea of how things have gone over the last couple of years and how this knife is held up. And I'm going to go ahead and do the update for you guys because of that. Now, first we're going to be starting out with the sheath like we always do. And we'll be moving on to the knife after that. So the sheath itself, he carries it in the multi-mount. You've got your little retention strap here, but he carries it in the multi-mount because it's easier for him to carry that way. You have your molly webbing here and here, so because of that he doesn't use the belt loop. But if you were to use the belt loop, the only thing that would be holding the knife into the sheath is the retention from the Mora friction retention that they use. Now, my only concern when it comes to Mora knives in general, because I have had it happen where the knife will actually, the retention will not hold up over extended use, pulling knife in and out, in and out, in and out, is how well the retention is held up. And in this case, the retention is held up pretty well, but it doesn't have that same force to it that it used to. It is definitely looser after the last 2 years than it was when he first got it. So there is that. You might want to take that into consideration. Now, if you are using the multi-mount, it doesn't matter because you just pop that over the top and the retention is irrelevant. But a lot of people, especially like myself, I don't use these kind of multi-mount sheaths. So for me, the retention in here is a factor, but if you're going to use the multi-mount, you don't have to worry about it. Now, as far as the sheath itself is concerned, it's held up pretty well. It does have some dents and dings and scrapes, and is definitely dirty, but as far as there are no cracks in it. It hasn't failed in any major way, or any way at all for that matter, so it's still holding up quite well. The Velcro that they use to hold the actual sheath itself to the multi-mount is still working pretty well. I don't really notice any failures in the Velcro, where it stops sticking properly. So the Velcro is still working well. And then of course back here you have your webbing to attach it to molly. But overall, it is definitely, the sheath has held up pretty well. It is holding up the way it should be, in my opinion. Now, let's go ahead and move on to the knife. Let's put this back together for him really quick. There we are. So there you have the sheath. Now, I don't know if he's sharpened this or not. It doesn't look like he has. And it's still, it's not as sharp as it once was, but it's still sharp enough. It's not in desperate need of any sharpening, but that's probably because of the 18C27N stainless that it uses. It's got a very nice hard stainless, so it's not going to require sharpening nearly as often as one of the lower grade stainlesses that Mora does use, because this is a very high grade Sandvik stainless, much higher grade than what you're going to find in a normal Mora knife. Pummel has not chipped or broken. The spine of the knife is still maintaining a nice sharp 90-degree edge, but again, like I said, a lot of that plays into the actual stainless that is used in this knife. Like I said, it is a very high-end stainless, so it is not going to be as prone to dulling as quickly as a normal stainless knife. but along with that comes the potential for chipping. So if you're going to be using this knife and you're going to be banging into things or anything like that, there is potential to chip the edge. In this particular instance, it hasn't yet, which I'm kind of surprised. I kind of figured it would, but it hasn't. So it's a definitely holding up pretty well over the last couple of years. Nothing really to note about that. But if you look, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it, but right there, you can see where the action of putting the knife in and out has worn down the plastic in that little notch, which is why the retention isn't as high as it should be. But that, I guess, is just because of how often he pulls it out. But overall, I'm going to say it is still in good condition. He definitely keeps it in good condition, but as far as, you can see, I don't know if you guys can be able to see it. See that little shimmer there along that secondary bevel? Secondary bevel is holding up pretty well. But like I said, overall, this isn't a full-on review. This is just a an update to kind of let you guys know how it's held up. And honestly, it's held up pretty well. The sheath itself is holding up well. The knife itself is holding up well. But I'm not surprised, really. It's a Mora Garberg. It's built like a tank, so it would take a lot to really damage it. My only concern with this knife really was due to the stainless, because of how hard the stainless they used is, that you would get a lot of chipping. But I don't see and haven't seen, when I looked at it last time, any real chipping. The edge is still holding up quite well, although it is, like I said, not razor sharp anymore. It is still sharp, but it's not going to slice my finger. So it could use a touch up, but from what I see here, it doesn't really look like he's tried to sharpen it. Now I don't know what all he's done with it. I don't know if he's batoned with it or anything like that. So I can't say exactly how hard it's been used, but I can say that it has been used. I mean, you can definitely tell. And just look at the strap. The strap is like really soft. You know how leather gets when it's been bent and moved around a lot? It's got that feel to it. So it's definitely come in and out of this knife a decent amount. Or the knife is coming in and out of the sheath a pretty decent amount. But I'm going to say that it held up very well. It is definitely worth the money for the knife. But I'm going to say just right now that I still prefer the Mora Kansbol as just a general purpose kind of knife. And if you need a knife that's built like this, I would probably go with like a BK7, just because I find the BK7 to be a better survival-ish kind of knife. And any bushcrafter, this is overbuilt for a bushcrafter, so and a typical 4-inch knife like this, you're not going to be using like that if you're bushcrafting. There are times when bushcrafters do a lot of batoning, but they tend to, myself and others tend to prefer a larger blade for that. So that's why I carry around the 3 knives that I carry. One being a BK7, the other being a Mora Kansbol, and then the third being a Mora Eldris. So, but with that said, if you are looking for a one-stop shop knife, one knife that can do pretty much whatever you need to do, minus the length, which is going to make batoning a little bit more difficult, this is definitely still a good option. But like I said, I prefer to have more specialized knives than just carry one knife. That's just me. I believe you should always have more than one. But overall, after the last 2 years, I'm going to say this has held up pretty well. I can't complain about it. He can't complain about it. He's very happy with it. So as always, I will have links to this and other knives in the description. It will be affiliate links, so remember that. And there you have it. 2 years. Mora Garberg has held up pretty well. Can't complain. The sheath has held up well. So there you have it. If you're gonna buy a Mora Garberg, it is definitely worth picking it up. In my opinion, it has held up very well over the last 2 years, minus the retention in the sheath. The retention has noticeably loosened up a little bit, but with the way Mora does their knives, it's kind of to be expected. But there you have it. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, if you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe. Bye bye.